cultures, right? There's so many different cultures in the world. So, and it doesn't necessarily have to be race, culture, prison culture. I try and tell those conversations with so many people, but we're going to get into the prison culture today for sure. So with that, we have a couple things that we want to highlight. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Arthur right here because we had an amazing Saturday. If you guys didn't see it on live, you guys should go back and check it out. It was amazing. So how was it, boss?
A long time coming. Proclamation from the county, Lincoln Fletcher's office, Monica Montgomery, the police department from Carlsbad, Say San Diego, South Bay Clinic, a lot of community partners present, supporting the work that's been going on for quite a few years. And it consisted of the trauma-informed code of conduct. Most importantly, the youth and individuals and families were the ones that were honored. An award, a proclamation, that's just a piece of paper. It's an award. But, someone that was present by the name of Claudia Ruiz, she was one of our original youth. When youth empowerment began 7, 8 years ago, I remember being at Wilson Middle School, putting a plan together to work with youth that needed that extra support. Her name came up, her family. Guess what? Her mother happened to be my homegirl, someone that I'm connected with. So we went to the house, we came with just the pen and paper, no resources, no money, no funding. What do you guys need? We're here. How can we make this happen, right? And on a pure grassroots movement, just passing the hat around, being present, showing up to all the court dates, whether it was her brother, little brother, other brother, right? The whole family's impacted by the justice system in one form or another. For her to be present, all the kids that were part of the pioneers, right, of the trauma-informed code of conduct, being present, right? And then them being there as leaders and the other youth and individuals that were families that were there, they were the ones leading the way. So it was a great event, and it was a long time coming, but that's just an award. The Transforming Trauma campaign is in full effect, y'all. We're going to be fully structured and ready to go by the beginning of January with our workbooks, curriculum, the training's coming because change is coming.
Yes, that change is gonna come. I know you want to sing it, huh? Get in there, get in there, get in there. Bring your karaoke
I
voice.
can't embarrass myself.
Oh no, today you're not gonna embarrass yourself. But last week you wanted me to embarrass myself.
Yeah.
So also big shout out to Project Aware, Reginald Washington, Just in Time. They also were recognized with youth empowerment. And like Boss said, the biggest thing is it's about the youth. And the amazing part of it and being there. So I wasn't there. I didn't have the privilege of being a part of it when it was created because it wasn't created like 2017 or something.
2.5 years ago.
Yeah, 2.5 years ago. So I was still in the system. I was still incarcerated at the time. But to be able to see the youth and the families that came out on Saturday, and then those little leaders and speaking up the way that they did, and they did so well, and they elevated their voices. And so we had other youth that were there that were not part of that, right? But it was being deposited and passed on to them and their families.
And a big shout out to San Diego Voyager, because this narrative captures what Nikki Martinez just said. She was here. She was present. While we were out here pushing the movement, she was in the inside, right, working on her release date. All that system-induced trauma, she didn't know if she was going to get paroled or not. So she was there. She was there in spirit, in life. And now she has her life back, and she's out here in the community.
And that's the thing. It's like the movement it's so much bigger than just us, and that's where it becomes all inclusive, and us being present and being able to just deposit that, work on ourselves, and be able to give that back from the inside, from the outside, and
Excited.
yes, super excited. So definitely we had an amazing time. We even broke bread, and so for you all that know us, that's what we do. We love to break bread with our fam. That's what happens with us. We love recognition, we love people, we love inclusion. We are about inclusion in all aspects of anything. So for the people that did show up, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you for creating a safe space for everybody to feel welcome, included and involved. We definitely appreciate that and the level of spirit. So I have a quick announcement. I want to get you guys all pumped up. You ready? Do some burpees. Get ready for it because it's coming. So we have a virtual event that we are going to get ready to host for Hispanic Heritage Month. It's going to be October 13th. So if you don't, I live by my calendar. If you need me to send you a calendar invite, please let me know and I'll let Rachel or somebody know to get you the calendar invite for sure. But it's going to be October 13th and it's going to be at 6:00 p.m. It's going to be a virtual event. It's going to be bomb, you guys, just so you guys know. So we'll be having more information. It'll be coming to you guys soon. We're going to be highlighting our local Hispanic businesses and our artists, right? For them mom and pop shops, the people that are grinding from sun up to sundown just to have money in their pocket, to put food on the table, to make sure that their families are okay. Like we're going to be able to highlight them and we're going to give them an opportunity to tell us about their business, right? Some of them formerly incarcerated, a lot of them system impacted. Some of them don't necessarily have to be, right? Black and brown people are oppressed already by nature. So we want to be able to elevate their voices and we want to give them an opportunity to go ahead and share about their works and the amazing things that they're doing in the community.
And you know, Salvador Robles, right? Chava, George Rupley, one of the best tattoo artists in town. Chava, young leader, was one of the first pioneer youths that began to connect with youth empowerment. Showed up for that kid in court at least 10 times. He's the most court dates that we've ever went to in our lives. It was a process, right? A couple years, he went through his challenges. Now he's president. You know, he has his own business, clothing, selling clothes, and he just completed the McAllister drug program. He's been sober for the last 5 months.
Yeah.
He's pushing, and you know, he's doing the dang thing. So those are the type of individuals that we want to highlight. Mama's gonna come say a prayer, right, to the opening, and
Dang, give away all the juice? Don't give away all the juice, dang!
and Antonio Fernandez, he's gonna come be
Woo,
present
K-Tone!
and give us a few words. Too.
Yes.
So that's gonna be exciting.
From the Credible Messenger Movement 3, this is national. He's national, and he's definitely, we're going to highlight all of that. He gave away all the juice, but don't worry, we have a fine agenda that's getting ready to come your guys' way. We will definitely hit you guys with more of what's coming, and it's super exciting. And by next week, by our next podcast right here.
Ness. I love that.
Anyway. Texas.
Ness.
Sometimes I go to Texas and they don't understand. And then when I start testing people, they're like, what are you doing? That's what happens. Anyways. Yes. So by the next podcast, we will have amazing information for you and we'll be able to give you a little bit more highlights, a little bit better of an agenda, but we cannot wait for you guys to join and be a part of this. It's going to be definitely interactive. It's going to be inclusive. So we're excited about that. The next thing we want to do is we want to highlight one of our amazing ambassadors. And I'm gonna let this guy take the reins on it. But before I do, because he'll go into Storyland because this is his homie. So a shout out to our amazing ambassador, Pastor Jesus Sandoval. He has been a blessing to my life since I have been home. Definitely, absolutely. Super grateful for him. At the Remnant Church on 54th Street, we're going to put the address in the chat so that you guys have an opportunity to connect with it. I ended up going there for community rap. That's how my relationship with Pastor Jesus Sandoval started, and that church and the environment, but it wasn't even with him. It was with the community that we created and the love that was inside of that church. So they do community rap every Monday at 6 to 8. If you guys want to give back to the community, you guys want to help out the youth, that's a really good way to start out and start with your investment. That's actually how I started out, because I started showing up and kicking the door down and I wasn't nobody's homie, but I was going to go in there and I felt like I was loved by everybody. So what about Pastor Jesus Sandoval?
That's my hometown homeboy, Pastor Jesus Sandoval, Executive Director of the Gang Commission, also known as BEX, right? When we were young, he went one way, I went the other way. 20 years later, here we are present. What's happening in East San Diego specifically, that's the neighborhood that we grew up and identified with. There's a lot of individuals from Rudy Arias Jr., Victor Carrasco that grew up in Shelltown, Robert Ontiveros, and just Chris Heath, a lot of individuals that have been doing the work.
Yep.
And we just start communicating, right? And you got community wraparound, you got youth empowerment, and we're just coming to come up with all these different solutions because it takes a neighborhood to be there for a neighborhood. We know the neighborhood. We know the youth. We know the grandmother. We know the aunt, the uncle, the sister, the brother, the family by choice. We know that whole dynamic. So us knowing that, we're able to be effective with our data, our mentorship, and just be there with genuine love. It's not the East San Diego part. That's passed behind us. Our nicknames and all that died a long time ago. Now I'm Arturo Soriano, Arthur Soriano. That's what I go by. And we have these conversations of growth, spiritual growth, and just doing everything in our power to build a healthy community. So big shout out to Pastor Jesus Sandoval for doing all the work that he's been doing, and he's been a pioneer into this process.
Yeah, and I say the same thing, as somebody that was gone for 25 years and, coming back to the community and not knowing where my niche was going to be, man, if I tell you, I felt more welcomed there than I did in some of the other places that I probably should have felt welcomed at. So big shout out to Rudy, to Junior, to Robert, that every time I walked through the door made me feel like I was family. So I love you guys. And we'll get to our feelings check-in in a minute, you guys, but thank you guys, and I appreciate you guys for embracing me like family. I love you guys. I love you guys. Anyway, so we're going on to, if you want to become an ambassador.
So if you want to become an ambassador, we're going to have the link in the chat, the way to connect with the website, become an ambassador, get involved. What that means is elevating one another's work, but really being committed to one another to push this process forward.
Yeah, definitely.
So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling super emotional. It's been a really, I've been like on super highs and super lows this week, I think, for me. And I always try and ground myself by reminding myself that I'm free for a reason, and it has to be bigger than me. So any type of feelings that I'm feeling, with the loss with our young man, with seeing all of those different types of things, getting knocked down a lot this week, I feel like. Emotional, sad, confused, frustrated, just a lot of different feelings. Right now I'm feeling like super grateful. I'm glad that we started it out this way. Yeah. How are you feeling, boss?
I actually feel like rejuvenated. I feel peaceful. I feel joy. I was blessed to be away with my wife for a week. I needed that just for my personal self-care. But then, coming back to, deaths and shootings and overdoses and all this trauma, right? And so after going yesterday to the viewing of our young kiddo, it was beautiful. One of the best services that I've been to in my life. When the stepdad came up and he spoke, he was speaking on how the kid, he had the last few weeks, he was going to church, he was going to the altar, he was praying, he wanted a difference in his life, and then this tragedy just happened, right? And so he was like, look, let's look at this as his death is bringing us together and is rejuvenating, is bringing us closer to God, to the youth. It's encouraging us to be out there and working with our youth individuals and families. So that was a sense of motivation for me. Yes, I cried. Yes, I felt sad. Yes, I had all the feelings. But towards the end, I was like, wow. I was so rejuvenated that I went home, I was tired, and I was just praying in my head and just thinking, why are we doing this work? Where are we going with this work? How are we helping youth individuals and families? So I feel rejuvenated. Yes, we're on our way to the funeral in a little bit, but we feel peace. And I'm glad that the family feels peaceful, which that's the most important.
Yeah, and one thing I gotta say is I showed up late because I was working a little later last night and I missed the service, and I'm bummed that I missed the service. But I think one thing that I've been able to see and witness with this family is the strength that this mother has. Like, dang, I ain't never seen a woman have strength like that. Besides our mamas, of course, but the strength of this woman has been definitely inspiring. And I sit back and I look at everything she's endured and for her to have the compassion and love in her heart to look everyone in there in the face and smile and say genuinely thank you without breaking down was just, it was, I was in awe. I'm in awe of her strength, and definitely it was motivating for me too.
And shout out to the courts and probation for letting the twin, because this youth has a twin, letting him out, but not only letting him out, letting him stay out and not come back in.
Yeah.
So shout out to probation.
All right.
Okay. Well,
So-
why you say that?
Well, we're gonna get into a nice, real thick conversation here. So that's what's getting ready to happen. So we're gonna have an amazing conversation today. We're gonna talk about. So for me personally, I hate the way that convict or prisoner even tastes in my mouth, because that is definitely not person-centered language. But unfortunately, that's what our country has been built on for centuries, right? And have been completely okay with saying stuff like that. We're also going to talk about the prison industrial complex. And if you guys don't know, we're going to educate you about that, because there's 2.3 million people that are currently incarcerated. California is housing the most prisoners anywhere in the world. So just take a minute with that. We're going to come with a little bit of education today, a little bit of knowledge, and we're also going to share our stories about certain things. So we hope that you guys stay tuned. We hope that you guys stay involved with that. We watched a documentary the other day, and I want to give a really, really huge shout out to Mr. Gilbert Johnson, who's from Time Done LA, and a shout out to All of Us or None. You guys put on an amazing, amazing, amazing viewing of Slavery by Another Name. And I think with that, we're going to go ahead and put the link to Slavery by Another Name. We're going to put the link in the chat so that you guys have an opportunity to get a little bit more insight into where it is that we come from and the history in the prison convict leasing and the prisoner convict leasing. And this is just a snippet. If you guys haven't watched the 13th, I encourage you guys to watch the 13th, because that talks about the prison industrial complex. Those are really, really, really informative documentaries or viewings that can help us get a better understanding. So with that being said, I know that I want to also share this disclaimer with you guys that watching Slavery by Another Name can be very trigger inducing. And so, you know, if you're in a vulnerable state, or if you're in a state that you feel that could compromise the betterness of your own well-being and your health, then I encourage you maybe to watch it with somebody safe, watch it with, or have somebody that you can reach out to, because it definitely it can impact us in a really strong way, especially if you've been affected in any way by the system.
And you know, that's definitely true, because like after like me watching the documentary through PBS, I felt the system induced trauma, because you know I've done a lot of research and did a lot of reading, Net 13, and you know different documentaries, but this one was more like detailed, right? They had family heritage of different sides, and so but the root of how slavery started, and then after slavery was abolished, allegedly,
Yes.
right? Allegedly, then the inmate convict leasing began. So what that means is, you know, individuals that had influence and had power were able to lease inmates and convicts. That's like going out there and leasing a car. That's like going out there and leasing some insurance, right? You're leasing human beings into this process. So that was a whole struggle in that whole era of Alabama, ending it, trying the process, civil rights, people coming together, right? The biggest impact from that were African Americans, right? But this is there's a lot of history to this. There's colonization all the way from the Americas, South America, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, Central America, Mexico, the colonization of the Europeans coming in, right? The land that Mexico once had, the conquistadors coming in, right? And this is felt throughout the prisons in California, because guess what? in California, right, a lot of the population, most of the population are Latinos, up and down, all the way from San Diego, Donovan, all the way to Pelican Bay Shoe. California is a big, big state. So this colonization, the slaveries, the slave owners, all this connects, right? And it leads to this prison industrial complex. When we were watching this documentary, like, man, I was like this is hitting home right here. Like, I was in a situation where I'm gonna let Nikki explain more of the leasing on her part. I didn't even get an opportunity to get leased because I never had a job when I went to prison. Because I was a young kid and I went there angry, 18 years old, bald headed, no mustache, lost, being guided by sharks, right? And so that's the route that I took. And I ended up in the segregated housing units, the shoes, and ended up getting validated in the process. I didn't have an opportunity to have a porter job or a yard crew worker job or, doing clothes. That wasn't me. I didn't get that opportunity. But I did experience inhumane isolation, torture when I was in Corcoran Shoe, when I was in Pelican Bay Shoe. The walls painted yellow. It felt like I was in outer space, in a bubble, in a ship, flying in the universe. Because I couldn't tell what time was. I couldn't see the daylight. I couldn't see the night. 4 cells on the bottom, 4 cells on the top, a little yard, a little concrete yard, and you could just walk around for 1 hour a day, and the shower's right there in your pod. The only access you have to leave is go to the medical or the law library, right? Or the Coastline Community College, the Coastline Learning, the college courses that they had. And guess what? When I had to go visit my family with no son, looking all pale, looking all shackled up, I remember my sisters came to visit me when their 14th birthday. I felt like I was skinny, I was pale, I had no color, and then being able to like go and visit my mother and my twin sisters, they must have been scared, terrified. And it's dying, like, why are you gonna see me like that? Like, I didn't even want them to come visit me. When I went up there, I told them, look, don't even come visit me because I didn't want them to see me like that. That's torture, guys. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Life doesn't work like that. We're not pieces of trash. Yes, we've experienced a lot of trauma. Yes, we have made some bad choices in our past. But why, right? Getting to the root of why the choices were made, learning it, going through our processes, and then becoming a responsible individual, being out here in the community and staying out in the community to help others. How was your process, Nikki, through your, were they paying you or?
So here's, the thing that I want you guys to understand, even it's you have to understand, the prison population is flooded. They constantly are building prisons. There's privately owned prisons that California is now pushing, initiatives to start getting those shut down. But I want you guys to understand more than anything, we were being paid and leased in a way that was treated so inhumanely. And yes, I did end up with a pay slot. Pay slots inside are 8 cents, 12 cents, 32 cents, 32 cents, you're balling. 90 cents, you really winning. And then we also have, joint venture in Central California Women's Facility with opportunities. But the thing that I want you guys to understand more than anything is people are profiting off of our labor. Like, they are really profiting. And there's no calling in sick. There's no getting out of that. With that, without going to work, you get ramifications, you get a write-up, you get in trouble, you lose your privileges, you go to ADSEG. There's so many consequences if you do not report to your job site. And it's not, you don't get a choice. You don't get a luxury of picking your career. No, you're going to go out there and you're going to till this dirt and you're going to have a shovel and you're going to start digging into something That's never going to make anything grow.
And if you don't, you get a write-up?
You get a write-up.
What's a write-up? It gives you more time.
Yeah, it gives you more time. It's like a ticket. What do you get with a ticket? You get a mark on your record and you have to pay a fine, right? That's exactly what you're going to get. But inside, it's even worse. For people that have life, a write-up is not just, I lose 30 days, but that's still 30 days of your life for not reporting to your job for one day, right? Or you get rolled over because you have to go before the board and you have to explain why did you go to work that day.
Disobeying a direct order.
Done.
That's what it is. That's the 115.
Yeah.
Disobeying the freaking direct order.
Or refusing to work, refusing the program. So you don't have a choice in the situation. There's no choices. There's no liberty to say, you know what, I'm throwing up my intestines today. I'm bleeding out of my colon today. I cannot go to work. I'm dizzy. I feel like I'm going to throw up. You don't get a choice. It's not an option. You have to go. And I think the thing, like what I was sitting there and I was thinking about the conversation that we were going to have today, and the one thing that would always tear me apart was the fact that, so at Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla, California, they were adding on to the prison, and it was upgrades, right, for our medical facilities. But what they were doing is they're paying us to build our own prison is what they are doing now. And they're paying us 55, 65 cents to lay brick, to throw pipe, to do electric. So what they would normally pay somebody $75 an hour to do,
Wow.
they're getting away with paying us 35, 45, 55 cents. And the thing that's messed up about that is after you earn that, if you owe restitution, then you're losing 55% of that off the top. If your family is sending, and out of $100, you are going to lose 55% of that. So I'm going to go to Canteen. I'm thinking with $100, I'm going to Canteen with $45, and that's going to get me my basic needs once a month. So I think of my experience with that, and I became a drug and alcohol counselor. And in there, you battle. It's such a moral battle because it's like, man, I don't want to do nothing for the state. Like I don't want them to benefit from me. I don't want them to profit off of me. But I also know that I have to. It's like they're doing with the shot right now. In order for you to live freely, you have to do what they want you to do. Period. That's it. And so I took the chance of becoming a drug and alcohol counselor. But I realized later on, after I had got my certification and after I realized that these counselors were making.
And she's about to get recertified on here.
Yes, I am. I'm certified drug and alcohol counselor. Yes, I'm about to renew my certification. Absolutely. While they're getting paid $55 an hour on the inside, I was getting paid 90 cents.
Well, they were like using you to facilitate all the
so that they didn't have to pay
that counselor or the
Yes.
team therapist
Yes.
to come in,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like, right? That's the title. That's the
Yes.
degree. So with degrees, right?
I'm trained just and had to do everything that they had to do. While they were making $55 an hour, I was making 90 cents, and they were working me far more hours than they were working them paid counselors from the freeway.
And did she have a choice? Right? Like,
No.
I'm like, 'cause she's fighting for her release date.
Yes, I couldn't say no.
You couldn't say no.
No.
And then what's sad is that some of our people think that 90 cent, they're going out there firing fires and all that. Like that's big time in there.
And let me tell you, to our firefighters that are out there, that are in there, I know that there's laws that are currently changing. You guys have definitely endured the most oppressive things as far as like what it is that you guys deserve when you guys come home. And I know that I apologize for being ignorant and not knowing more. Michelle Garcia from ARC, I know that she knows so much because that was part of her life. And I appreciate you and everything that you're doing. I see you, Queen, that you are just making mountains move for people that have been in the firefighting industry complex inside of the institutions that were out here working in the community, keeping families safe, So shout out to you guys because what we do, and to all of our, I can't even think what they are right now, all of our hospice workers, for all of the people that are on the inside right now doing everything that is COVID related and not given the proper gear and the proper PPE to do it, and they're getting paid for 30 cents an hour, if that, doing what people out here in the free world are doing. It's insane what our folks inside are doing right now and suffering from.
So look, please read that article, right? Nikki and I, we've been through all these different types of traumas. The article explains it best, and there's more that wasn't even just put on there.
Yeah.
We just gave you a snippet of the different traumas that we went through: the complex, the chronic, the acute, the system-induced traumas, right?
Mhm.
But yes, we feel anger. Yes, we feel depression sometimes. Yes, we feel sadness and all that. But now, like, we're not living like that. We're not being angry and being violent. We're not being depressed and then drowning ourselves in drugs, right? And that's the difference. That's what's keeping us out here. That's what's helping us build this organization. That's what's helping push this moving forward. After all the things that we've been through, yeah, I might have a little chip on my shoulder, but I still come as a trauma-informed approach. And anybody we meet, youth, individual, and family, we connect. Like, let's have that conversation. Let's have the hard conversation. Let's communicate. Let's put a plan. Let's strategize. What's in the end goal going to build a healthy community and help our youth, individuals, and families? Because I can't afford to be angry and violent and go back in there. I'm 45 years old. I don't want to be in another cell with another man. You know, like I still go to the shoe directly to the hole. Like, I haven't been part of that new step down process that they got, down CDCR. They are starting to let individuals out. I was there during this last hunger strike. I went 2 weeks, on the hunger strike. Every two days, I eat a little piece of top ramen, suffering with my people, right? So, yeah, I could be like, you know what, I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna do this, and that, but no, we don't live like that no more.
But I think that's the thing. That's why we show up for our people the way that we do. I don't think that. I think a lot of our people that are formerly incarcerated and system impacted, like, they don't come home thinking I could come home and be like this. I think a lot of them, with all of that induced trauma, they come home and don't know how to be. You come home to an environment or to a culture that's constantly not providing you with the right opportunities, not providing you with housing, not providing you with job opportunities, not and it's like you got to dig for those resources. You have to dig for them. And so that's why we're here. We're here as a support network to let you know that you are not alone, to let you know that you are completely, completely, completely supported, wrapped around, and you don't have to go through it alone. You don't have to be so angry. You have so many different things that we can offer and provide here at Youth Empowerment that will help you get at least to the next step, at least feel supported, at least knowing that we can relate and it's family. I think with us, a lot of times we come home with so much fear, and we come home with so much insecurity because we've been functioning from a place of self-preservation and survival, and to learn and condition ourselves to be a different human being is not an easy process by any means.
And that's the difference, y'all. That's the difference from us and other organizations or so-called organizations that say they're doing the work, but really ain't doing the work. Like, just putting it out there, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But we come from a place of love.
Yeah.
And when you come from a place of love and hope, and that equals to peace, that inner feeling, right, of peace. So we're definitely glad that we had this conversation.
Yeah,
today.
there's so much there. I mean, we chipped away at the outskirts of it, you guys, but there's so much conversation that needs to be right now. Like, I got triggered when you were talking about Shu and the visits, with Rachel and Michelle being 14 years old, my mom, like, there's just that. The Shu is definitely a conversation that needs to be had for sure.
And that's like, we need to get Victor and Rudy back.
Yeah.
And on specifically
Yep.
on that,
Yeah.
because that's just the whole podcast in itself.
In
And then it
itself.
won't end.
Yeah.
Like,
That's like
it
won't. So
three episodes.
maybe we don't have time. Maybe that'll be the extended Shu version. We'll do episode 1, 2, and 3. We'll do a sequel for you guys, keep you guys in suspense.
So how are you feeling now?
Now, I think with anger comes fight in me, like, and not physical fight, but it's like fighting for our people to make sure that they know that they're supported and that they're loved. I think it comes that fight I feel more compassionate.
So you're able to use that feeling and use it for something good.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of walking around throat punching people, I just want to go out and just hug everybody right now. I want to be trauma informed, you know? For real, I do. Yeah.
This is therapy.
It is
for
so
me, y'all.
therapeutic for me too.
Hey, but yesterday with all the fake we had, like we went through from 8 in the morning to 3, the podcast and figuring all this process out. Like it just hit me. Like I was just talking, and it just like,
Yeah.
I put myself, because when I look to the right hand side where that bathroom is at, that's the same size of my cell.
Yeah.
So if you really want to know what it is, stick yourself in the bathroom for 24 hours. Let yourself out for an hour.
Yeah.
And that's what the shoe
Or
feels
don't,
like.
or don't, because you ain't going out for an hour every day. I know we didn't even go out because we didn't want our room hit, so we stayed. I never left. Never left. I didn't even go to the shower. Yeah, I bathed because I have OCD with bathing, just so you guys know. But
Bird bath.
yeah, boy,
That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother topic. Anyway, survival of the fittest for sure right now. So before we end, you guys, thank you guys so much for joining. I definitely want to send out a prayer to Rudy, Arias, and Pastor. They have a gang panel that they have to be in today at San Marcos at 3:30. So please, you guys, send them out prayers, send out positive energy. What we do is so powerful, especially when it comes to intervention. But if we can get that prevention element just down right, and we can get the right people supporting that, so we can end that prison, school to prison pipeline. I can never get that right. That's what we do, and that's why we do what we do. We want to definitely alleviate the trauma, reduce the trauma. I also want to share with you guys, we have Parents on a Mission. It starts this Thursday at 5:30, and it's going to be via Zoom.
The link.
So we're going to put the link in the chat. Please, Parents on a Mission, this is a fight for, if you have children, if you have nieces, if you have nephews, this is a fight for your child's love, right? And who are you fighting against? All of the negative things that are being deposited into your child's life.
And look, like right now, like let's not like sugarcoat nothing. The times are critical. COVID-19, the impact of stress, the impact of trauma, overdoses, deaths, violence, murders, assaults, it's at an all-time high. And we take all this in. We take all this in as an organization, as an individual. Parents, if you're on this chat, you need to come. And you'll get $100 after completion too.
Ooh, throwing out money.
Yeah, so you will get $100 after completion. It's the best thing that I could have done. Take and continue to take and continue to facilitate, because I always learn something new. The hardest job we have is raising our kids. If you're a parent, then you could understand what I'm talking about.
And the thing is we want to mitigate harm in every way, shape, and form. That's harm in our families, that's harm in our communities, and it's taking those tiny steps and those tiny measures, right? Because just because we're feeling hurt and anger and pain doesn't give us the right to hurt and unleash that anger and pain on others. And so with these tiny steps and with these tiny measures, we encourage you guys to be a part of this as we help and work together to heal community that is bleeding right now, that is in dire need of healing and support and love. We as people in the community need to learn how to demonstrate that on the daily, whether it's at this platform, whether it's walking down the street to 7-Eleven and telling somebody hello. It's those tiny little measures. And so, this is an opportunity for you guys to step up, for you guys to take responsibility and start doing things that could help benefit your life and enhance the quality of your life. And it helps us be better community members together. So with that being said, I want to close out. I have 2 quotes for you guys. Are you guys ready? I'm going to drop it.
Yes.
Like it's hot. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Can we get a drum roll? See if it works?
Let's see here.
Okay.
And,
okay, we're not.
Or we can get crickets.
Yeah.
I like crickets better.
We're not there.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Oh, check us out. Come in with the drum roll. Okay, so the first quote for everybody. Forgive yourself for not knowing better at the time. Forgive yourself for giving away your power. Forgive yourself for past behaviors. Forgive yourself for the survival patterns and traits you picked up while enduring trauma. Forgive yourself for being who you needed to be. And I think a lot of times that's what needs to happen. We have to forgive ourselves in order for us to be on a healthy mode, and have compassion with ourselves so that we can move forward compassionately with others. The second one is childhood trauma can lead to adults spent in survival mode, afraid to plant roots, to plan for future, to trust, and to let joy in. It's a blessing to shift from surviving to thriving. It's not simple, but there is more. And that leads us with the hope on the horizon. Understanding, and I think for us, we just need to understand that a lot of times behaviors, a lot of times actions are rooted in childhood trauma. When we show up and be a little bit more compassionate with that, instead of judgmental, instead of ostracizing, instead of condemning, then it gives us an opportunity to put just that little tiny seed of healing into the community that it desperately, desperately needs right now. So,
amen.
Woo! Oh, I even got an amen today. I'm winning. I'm winning.
Peace and blessings to everyone.
Yes.
We will be back next week. We're getting our structures right, and if we feel more confident and comfortable. And our goal next week is to start exactly at 10 a.m., not 10:01, right? 10:02.
Throw it on you.
10 a.m. Okay, so thank you,
Yes.
BV
Make sure.
Victorious Voices.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Make sure that you watch us. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook. Share us with your friends, please. We definitely want to be in homes. We want to share this information with people. Know that it's being said with love and generosity and compassion, even though it can get a little passionate sometimes. It is said with genuine love and regard. If you want to make a donation, please visit our website. That link is also in the chat for you guys. Again, shout out to Pastor Jesus Sandoval, Remnant Church. It's up, it's active. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys are doing. For all of you watching, blessings to you, blessings to your family, blessings to your loved ones, blessings to every single interaction that you have today. And so with that being said, be the victorious voice that we know you can be in the community. Victorious Voices.